we give you thanks for this opportunity to bring these gifts before you, to lay them on your altar, to serve you and your kingdom. In the name of Christ we pray. Amen.
Our scripture lesson today comes from Luke 7, 1 through 10. And it is from the New Revised Standard Version of the Holy Bible. After Jesus had finished all his sayings in the hearing of the people, he entered Capernaum. A centurion there had a slave whom he valued highly, and who was ill and close to death. When he heard about Jesus, he sent some Jewish elders to him, asking him to come and heal his slave. When they came to Jesus, they appealed to him earnestly, saying, "He is worthy of having you do this for him, for he loves our people, and it is he who built our synagogue for us." And Jesus went with them, but when he was not far from the house, the centurion sent friends to say to him, "Lord, do not trouble yourself, for I am not worthy to have you come under my roof. Therefore I did not presume to come to you. But only speak the word, and let my servant be healed. For I also am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. And I say to one, 'Go,' and he goes. And to another, 'Come,' and he comes. And to my slave, 'Do this,' and the slave does it." When Jesus heard this, he was amazed at him. And turning to the crowd that followed him, he said, "I tell you, not even in Israel have I found such faith." When those who had been sent returned to the house, they found the slave in good health. This is the word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God.
Let us pray. Creating and loving God, we thank you this day for your grace, for your love, and for the opportunity to hear your word read. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of each of our hearts be pleasing in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. Some years ago, I was at Convocation, which is the pastors all gathering together for continuing education. We do it every year. We used to always do it at Lake Junaluska, but the last couple of years we've been doing it in my favorite town, Pigeon Forge. Yes, that was dripping in sarcasm. So we at Convocation we do a lot of things. We have plenary speakers who get in front of all of us and talk, and then we have workshops and all that. But the other thing that we do at Convocation is we worship in a lot of different ways. And almost always, actually, I don't recall there being a time when we didn't have a closing worship service where the bishop preaches and we have communion. And this particular time, it was a number of years ago. In fact, the bishop I'm going to be referring to is not our current bishop, is not the bishop that this current bishop followed. It is the one before that. And I was asked to assist with serving communion. It's 500 people or so it takes a number of us to have stations and all of that. And I remember standing there in line, and you know, when you're serving, one of the advantages to doing it at Convocation is everybody's wearing a name tag. And so you can say, Joe received the body or the blood of Christ, and you can say Sally, and you can, whatever name they happen to have. But I saw in the line coming to communion, Bishop Ray Chamberlain. Now, protocol is that you always refer to the bishop as bishop. Rarely have I ever called Bishop Chamberlain Ray and Bishop Swanson James. Now, our current bishop was once a member of our conference and been around a while, so a lot of people refer to her by her nickname, but in context, we refer to her as Bishop. And I'm standing there thinking about, how do I address the bishop when serving communion? And it dawned on me. God doesn't see bishop, pastor. God doesn't see whatever title we have. God knows us as who we are. God sees through all of that other stuff, doesn't he? And so when Bishop Chamberlain came, I said, Ray, the blood of Christ shed for you. I know that seems like a little thing, but it stuck with me. Because we approach God in a lot of different ways in the world that we live in. Sometimes we approach God in a demanding way. God, I want you to do this for me. Sometimes we approach God angry. Sometimes we approach God with all of our intellect intact and certainly trying to get it right. And as we look at this story, the story of the centurion who has a slave who is in need of healing, we have someone who seemed to get it right. At least in Jesus' words. I mean, at the end of the story, Jesus says, I've never heard of anyone in Israel with such faith. In all of Israel, I've not found anyone with such faith. We live in a world now where all of us are sure we're right. I know what God would want for our people. I know what God would want for our church. I know what God would want for all kinds of things. And if you want to know, just ask me, because I'm the one that knows everything. And you probably feel the same way about yourself. We all get that way. I've studied, I've learned, and so therefore I'm the one that's right. If you don't believe me, join Facebook. Everybody knows everything. But Jesus saw this man who came to him in an odd way. In fact, Jesus never met the centurion. Even after the statement was made, Jesus didn't go to the centurion's house. The centurion is not an Israelite, but he's someone that the Israelite folks, they came to him. The Jewish leaders came to Jesus on his behalf. And on the behalf of one of his slaves. So here's the story. The centurion has a slave, and I love the way it says, a centurion there had a slave who he valued highly, and who was ill and was close to death. Now, you could talk about how he valued the slave in different ways, right? The slave could be valued highly because somehow he's worth a lot financially. It doesn't seem like that's the case in this story. It seems like he values this slave highly because he's a trusted slave, somebody who he values in his life. That he was willing to go to the Jewish leaders because he'd heard about Jesus. And he wondered if they could help him out. And I love the approach that the leaders had when they came to Jesus. When they come to him and they say, you've got to help this guy because he means a lot to us. He's been good to us. He loves our people. He is worthy of having you do this for him, for he loves our people and it is he who built our synagogue for us. I used to live in another town. Of course, that's not uncommon for us. I lived in this town where there were two people who had a lot of money. And I don't mean that they had a lot of money like they made $100,000 a year. I mean like they gave out a lot more than that every year. They owned a lot of the town. It was a bigger town than Norris. Their companies had made millions and still do. And I was a part of a board of directors for one of our camps, and we were trying to raise some money, large amounts of money. And so when you're going to raise a lot of money, you have to go to the people who have a lot of money, right? You can't hold a bake sale if you want to raise $1 million. It doesn't work that way. Unless you've got some really good baked goods. Or a lot of them. And so, I mean, the Girl Scouts may make $1 million on their bake sale every year. I don't know what their total is, but no troop makes that, right? No. Terry says no. And she's an authority on Girl Scout cookies. So we wanted to be able to approach these people to ask them for large amounts of money, and here was the discussion that we had. It doesn't matter which one you get first, but you got to get one if you want the other. Because if you tell the other that the one is going to give this amount of money, the other will try to give more. Because they got to outdo one another. It was well known about these two that they had a rivalry amongst one another. They tried to buy more property in the town. They tried to do all kinds of things that get their name put on more buildings, etc. And it was just an interesting discussion that in order to get these folks to give to our great ministry of camping, our goal was to get one of them to give so the other would give also. Because we needed to appeal to their ego. That seems kind of contradictory to this story, doesn't it? I know one of those two men was United Methodist. I don't remember if the other one was. I don't think he was. But I found it odd to believe that the best method was not to share with them the way I wanted to do it, the way I wanted to believe it could be done, was to share with them the wonders, the great things that happened through the ministry of Holston Conference camps, and in particular Camp Lookout. And we could go to them and talk to them about the number of kids who had dedicated their life to Christ through camping ministry. We could go to them and talk about the number of staff who became clergy or went on to other forms of ministry full-time in their lives. We could talk about all the ways that people got a chance to see the outdoors. Kids from the inner city who came out that never seen what it was like to be in the woods. We could talk to them about the way that people's lives were transformed because of camping. And they would want to support that, right? No. That wasn't the way it worked. So here we have this man who's come to Jesus through some others, and they say he's a great donor. He's the one we want you to help. But then the twist comes, the surprise comes, as Jesus approaches the man's home. The man sends word through one of his friends, I'm not worthy for you to come under my house, under my roof. I am a person who has authority. I can tell soldiers to go here and come there, and they will do what I tell them. My servants, my slaves, they will do what I tell them to do. I know what it is to have authority. But I have no authority over you, Jesus. But if you say the word, my servant will be healed. And Jesus saw in him great faith. In a few weeks, we're probably going to hear the story of Naaman, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about him anyway. It's one of my favorite stories in 2 Kings. Now, in the story, there is this captain in the military, and he's well known and well liked, and he's got a lot of power, and he comes down with leprosy, and you know leprosy is a bad thing. And he comes down with leprosy, and he's gone to all the the people who know, the great leaders of his community, of his people, and he comes to them and he says, "Can you heal me? Can you help me?" And nothing had worked. And his wife had a servant who came to them from Israel who